redirect otherwise payable tax to causes that you support. In this episode, I'm going to talk about how to avoid paying taxes legitimately and help this great country of America. So my name's Doug Andrew, and I've taught thousands of hours to thousands and hundreds of thousands of students how to live a life of abundance and how to be able to take ownership of their own brighter future. In fact, my wife and I love to volunteer to help troubled youth in detention centers, also in crisis centers, young people who just want to give up. They want to end their life. I'm on a board for teenage suicide prevention. And I've been very passionate about helping people, young and old, understand how to take ownership, how to live a life of abundance, and surround themselves with the people they love and care about, and teach them to have an abundance mindset, to look at what's going right in life instead of what's going wrong. You know, most addictions, and I've helped many troubled people overcome addictions with 12-step programs and so forth, but you know, addictions are usually a disease of isolation. And it's sad because a lot of times people get trapped into the thinking and they want to give up. They don't see a brighter future. They can't see light at the end of the tunnel. They want to escape. Really, it's a disease of isolation, and what they're wanting is acceptance and love. So the destination is correct. We all want that. They just got on the wrong train. And so I love to help people get on the right train. So as I continue in this episode, why would I be talking about that in an episode that talks about redirecting otherwise payable tax? Because a lot of times people just sort of give up, roll over, and they look at tax as a necessary evil, and they try to avoid it. There's a big difference between income tax avoidance and income tax evasion. In short, the difference between the two is about 10 years in jail, okay? Let me simplify it. If I were on Long Island in New York, the state of New York, and I wanted to go over to Manhattan, and I had to pay a toll, we'll call that tax, to go over a bridge or through the quick way, I can pay the toll and I can get there. But if I choose to avoid paying the toll, I go an alternate route and I avoid the toll. But if I break through the toll gate and I don't pay the toll and it picks me up, I'm going to get nabbed and they're going to find me, okay? And so I've helped many people avoid unnecessary tax. Now, when I say unnecessary, it's really a voluntary tax. You don't have to pay it if the government allows you to redirect that tax to causes you support. But a lot of people don't even understand how to do that. The key is taking ownership. See, if you take pressure off of the government to provide benefits for you, whether it's additional health benefits, retirement benefits, or welfare benefits, if you rely on government for everything, then they're going to have to collect more and more in taxes. But if you take pressure off of the government, then you can actually redirect those taxes to be able to provide for your own retirement, for your own family. So let me give you my favorite example of this. For years, one of my favorite vehicles where I accumulate my money totally tax-free is in what I call the Laser Fund. Now, LASER is an acronym that stands for Liquid Assets Safely Earning Returns. The first letter of each of those words spells laser. Now, the Laser Fund is actually a maximum funded indexed universal life insurance contract where I have averaged 9.62% rates of return for the last 45 years. But I can accumulate my money totally tax-free when I put it in there. I can earn that 9.6% average without paying tax as the money grows. Because under Section 72E of the Internal Revenue Code, if you pay money into an insurance contract, you're taking ownership so that if you want to use it for your retirement, it'll be tax-free and you take pressure off of the government trying to provide for your retirement with welfare or extra Social Security benefits or whatever. And so there's incentives there to give you tax-free accumulation. Now, this has been around for more than a century. Another section of the Internal Revenue Code, Section 7702, says this is how you can access money, create tax-free income out of a maximum funded indexed universal life insurance policy. And so that's Section 7702. Now, sometimes people say, well, that's a tax loophole. Boy, when the IRS finds that out, they're going to close that loophole. No, the IRS, Congress, are the very ones who created this because it takes pressure off of the government to provide for people in retirement, or if I happen to die prematurely and I leave behind insurance proceeds, that is tax-free under another section of the code, Section 101A. So I'm taking responsibility and accountability. I'm taking ownership whether I live a long time and I have tax-free income, because I'm not going to rely on the government for help. But if I die and I leave behind my wife and she becomes a widow and my children and they become orphans, then I have provided money for them and the government says that's tax-free because you were being responsible and accountable. You took ownership so that if you died prematurely, they will not be a drain on government help. And so that's why it's been a sacred tax-free cash cow in the Internal Revenue Code for over 107 years. So when we redirect otherwise payable tax, and you can do this in so many other ways. You can also give your time to charities. You can donate your talents. And that's far more impactful than just rolling over and writing out checks, even in contributions, or to pay higher taxes. So it's more than just the money. We're talking about the impact. So when we do this, you'll learn that the government has incentives for Americans to be able to choose how social dollars are allocated if you want. And this is usually done with what I call a family empowered bank. This is funded with a maximum funded indexed universal life insurance policy in our own family. So let me explain how this works. So before I explain how this works in our family bank that I fund with the Laser Fund, if this is intriguing you, be sure and share, click like, subscribe. I would love for you to gain insights into opportunities that maybe you didn't even know existed before, because I post almost on a daily basis an in-depth answer to a financial question or a strategy or a concept about current events all the time. And I don't want you to miss out. And if you stay to the end, I have a special gift for you. So in our family bank, now this is a conceptual bank, not a chartered bank like down the street. This is a repository. And this is where we capture all of our stories and history and wisdom and knowledge, our faith, our beliefs, all of those things that we want to leave behind to our posterity. Because I often ask people, if you were going to be playing in a golf tournament, let's say, and you had the choice of using a professional golfer like Phil Mickelson's swing, or you could use his clubs, what would you choose? I would rather have Phil Mickelson's swing rather than his clubs. But I've noticed a lot of financial advisors, for example, that seem to focus on the clubs, the commodity. Buy this mutual fund or this stock or bond or gold or silver. It's not in the commodity. It's not in the clubs. It's in the swing. See, that's why I like indexing as it relates to money. And I'll explain that in just a moment. But see, in our family bank, I would rather leave behind the swing to my children and grandchildren instead of a bunch of golf clubs and trophies. See, I've noticed that many estate planning attorneys seem to focus on dividing up the golf clubs and the trophies among the kids and the grandkids when you die. No, I'd rather leave behind how to fish, to my kids and grandkids than dumping a bunch of fish in their lap. So in our family bank, I capture the swing, so to speak. All of the experiences, both good and bad, that I've learned from that gave me wisdom, because wisdom is a product of knowledge times experiences. So we have a system in our family where we gather all of these experiences and we capture them so that future generations can read about the mistakes that we've made, and they don't have to make the same mistakes. But in the family bank, we do have the financial resources, and we fund our family bank with a maximum funded indexed universal life insurance policy, or actually policies, because this is where we can accumulate our money totally tax-free. We can access that money whenever we need to give our posterity a hand up. We don't just give a handout. If any of our posterity needs help with a college education, they have to have skin in the game. They have to get a scholarship or have to save, and we might match dollar for dollar on every dollar that they save towards college. If they want to go out and start a business, they have to come up with their portion, and we might loan them the money and then they pay it back. It's not just a handout. It doesn't foster this entitlement mindset. Hey, will you pay for? Nope. We are there to empower them. So in our family bank, we fund it with maximum funded insurance contracts. By doing that, we're able to continue to perpetuate this through generations, so that every time the oldest patriarch or matriarch dies, the insurance contract blossoms, transfers tax-free, and we take 20% of that and we purchase insurance on the next oldest, healthiest family members. So in our family bank, we just keep growing. We can constantly have the money that is there as our family continues to grow. Is this intriguing you? Is this piquing a little bit of interest? Let me show you how you can learn more. So before sharing how you can get a copy of my most recent best-selling book, because I want to gift a copy to you, you'll also learn why this is the best instrument to use for retirement. You'll read stories of how we've helped many couples who redirected otherwise payable tax to where when they came to me, they had $200,000 a year of retirement income. And I said, way to go, but I do see one big problem. And they go, what's that? And I go, all $200,000 of that annual income is showing up on the front page of your 1040 tax return. And they go, you mean there's a better way? And I go, yes. And in 5 years, by establishing a portfolio of laser funds, we get $120,000 of that off of their tax return. They only have to pay tax now on $80,000 of the $200,000. They're still getting $200,000, but I saved them tax on $120,000 a year of income. In a 33% bracket, that's $40,000. Over a 20-25 year period, I've saved many people $1 million just with that one strategy. We redirected that million of otherwise payable tax in their family bank, and we've done this thousands of times. And that $1 million is generating college funds, matching, missionary funds, humanitarian, military, in a family bank into perpetuity, rather than just rolling over and paying tax the rest of their life on that $120,000 of retirement income. If you want to learn more, here's how you can receive your free copy. This is my 11th book. It's 300 pages. It's actually 2 books in one. This one, the white side, is 200 pages, 14 chapters, with all kinds of charts and graphs and explanations of how to diversify and create the foundation for a tax-free retirement. But if you learn more by your right brain, by stories, you flip it over and you read this side. This is 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 actual client stories. If you want to use both your right brain and left brain, read both books. It retails for $20, but here's how you can claim your free copy. Go to Laser Fund, L-A-S-E-R, that's an acronym that stands for Liquid Assets, Safely Earning Returns. Go to laserfund.com or click on the link below. Contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I'll cover the rest of that cost, and I'll pay for the book. You also have options in there where you can get the audio version and listen and learn. You can watch and learn. In fact, there's an 18-hour masterclass where my two sons and I, they're co-authors with me on this book, we do a deep dive for about 90 minutes average on every single chapter. People who go through this education send me thank you notes all the time because I've empowered them to redirect otherwise payable tax to causes they support. And now they will never outlive their money as they do that. And in actuality, they're helping this great country of America better than just rolling over and paying unnecessary tax.